I vividly remember the little house that became the gym, that became the adult daycare center. That building that has now reinvented itself several times was the original synagogue. I remember going there as a kid.
The building then was a cottage on Park Heights near Manhattan. Right after that, they built the Hebrew school, which was the first brick building. The arches, as you walked in, reminded everyone of the Ten Commandments. The sanctuary itself was magnificent. First of all, it was all wood. The background was wood. The ark was made of wood. The seating arrangement was the same from the beginning. And the social hall right behind it, which was divided from the sanctuary by a mechanical door, where if you pressed the button, that would open and you would have seating for the high holidays for approximately 1,500, 13 or 1,500. And the stationary sanctuary was about 700.
I do remember the old synagogue, the inside. What I remember most about the building is going up the front steps and going into the main sanctuary.
Then it started out that they have such a beautiful ark, a golden ark, the most beautiful you ever saw everywhere.
Well, these doors, I think, weigh about 1 ton or 2 tons. They're that heavy. They were on a track at Beth Jacob, so that they weren't opened and closed during the service. Once the service began, they were opened, and then the ark was behind it, so to speak, with the curtain that was opened and closed to take the Torahs out and put them back in. And then when services were over, they were moved back together on their track, and you see a lock there, and then it was locked. They are 14-karat gold, a leaf. It's been since touched up by Morris Rosen, one of our members.
And started peeling and getting damaged, the letters was and so they got the original artist from New York. They wanted $18,000 for it, and they didn't have so $18,000. So Mr. Janov said, he says, Morris, see what you can do. And I fixed this up, and for Saturday, it was the most beautiful ark.
What synagogues have in common is 4 walls, a bima, an ark, and Torahs. But what made Beth Jacob unique was the congregants, the people that belonged to Beth Jacob. Having a legacy to leave behind, which was its building, and to be able to provide it to teach youngsters is a wonderful legacy for us to keep on, because every time I pass the building, I always think of the good times at Beth Jacob Congregation, and that it is still ongoing.
No, we still have a real warm tie to the Beth Jacob people, who that building instilled in so many people a real Yiddishkeit.
Beth Jacob was really involved in education of children. At one time we had 750 students in the Hebrew school.
Yes, I did attend the Beth Jacob school, and I was bas mitzvahed. I think I was the 2nd class. And of course, we watched as the school grew, and at the head was a Dr. Sidney Esterson, who all the children feared, but was a strong force.
We either went Monday, Wednesdays, and Sunday morning, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday midday. It was a 3-day Hebrew school, and it was in the Hebrew school building.
The education was not just the formal in the Hebrew school. The education was of Judaism, of Jewish life, of Jewish customs, Jewish tradition, of what it means to be Jewish.
Our members were leaders in a lot of areas, whether it was in financing, helping finance the Associated, or coming up with ideas to help Israel.
Joseph Meyerhoff, who is well known in Baltimore City, Solomon List became a circuit court judge.
That Willard Hackerman has definitely been one of the more important people in Baltimore and nationally, and of course we take such pride in everything that he's done, because he did it with a full heart.
My parents moved to Baltimore in 1954, and my father became a member in 1954. I went to Hebrew school there. I got bar mitzvahed there. I had my first wedding at the sanctuary. My second wedding, Rabbi Ben Natan officiated at my home. When my father passed away, I went back and started saying Kaddish there. And so my association lasted from 1954 until we moved to Beth Tefiloh. It was the center of my religious beliefs and upbringing. I got all my education there. I must say, I think I got more education when I went back and started saying Kaddish for my father. Of course, at 7 to 13, your main concern is bringing stuff to hide in your desk when you're sitting in Hebrew school so you can eat while you're in class. I regret now that I didn't pay more attention so I could daven better. It's a history. It's part of my life. It was a very strong history, and I've made some very close friends, which I hope I'll keep the rest of my life.
And the impression Beth Jacob made to me, unbelievable. First of all, the younger people, they were so elegant, dressed all the time, and so bright and beautiful, everything. It was something. The people were excellent. They were all friendly and so nice. But it took 17 years till I got the first Aliyah.
I started something what I called a beautification of Beth Jacob. It's like a one-man job. Fortunately, we had presidents of the shul who were very, when I said something suggested, they had the foresight to say, Frank, go ahead, do what you need to do. And then gradually, over a period of time, with the assistance of the maintenance men here, we replaced all of the lights in the main sanctuary. And I wrote a book, which I've given to the rabbi, showing every room, every panel, and everything, how it worked and what lights and what was in there for any future time that they had to be changed.
I came back to Beth Jacob to spend 3 hours with my dad. After a few weeks, Sidney Schlockman grabbed me and called me at home, and he said to me, you are now vice chair of the breakfast committee. And I said, Mr. Schlockman, the only thing I know about breakfast is how much of it I can eat. And I did that, and then I was on the board of directors of the Brotherhood, then became chairman of the board of the Brotherhood, then president of the Brotherhood, then board of the congregation, then chairman of the board of the congregation, and then president of the congregation, and that's it. My days were done.
We sat next to Zadie, second row from the back on the right-hand side, third and fourth seat in, because his seat was the first seat, and his brother Dave usually sat next to him. And I learned about how a Shabbos service was conducted sitting next to my grandfather for those 3, 4, 5 years. Yisker, Yom Kippur here, when I was a teenager, there were 500 kids on the front lawn during Yisker.
The lawn,
Young
the wide
people whose
steps,
parents were still alive.
wall-to-wall people.
I came to Shabbos here one Saturday, and Ben Sion Weiss was the cantor. And I'm sitting in the back. I think I was sitting, in the same row as my grandfather was sitting, and although he wasn't there, I sat there anyway. And Ben Sion was leading Shacharis. And at one point, he was singing, and he lifted his arms up towards the heavens, pleading to me with Hashem to hear the prayers of him, his prayers, and the congregation prayers. And I got goosebumps all over my body. And it wasn't so much his voice, though. It was him. I could hear the pleading. So when I see this body language and these gestures that the Chazan was doing, I'm like, my God, I don't even have to know what he's saying. I know he's trying to speak to Hashem on my behalf and everybody else's behalf, in the congregation. And I thought to myself, phew, I want to hear this all the time.
And I've seen a lot of cantors, heard a lot of cantors. There's nobody that I've ever heard that did that prayer the way Benzie did it. A lot of shuls are very friendly. There's no shul like Beth Jacob was, as far as Hamisha, inclusive, just the feeling of being here. It's just, and I guess it's difficult to explain. It's just the feeling of being here.
It's not so much that Beth Jacob has gone, but you have, and especially with, your understanding of history, included past Beth Jacob members to give these students that lesson in history about how special this building was and is.
And I think the Almighty has transitioned this building, this sanctuary, to so that it stays alive with Yiddishkeit, with Torah, with mitzvot.
Very, very pleased that they've left standing what they can leave standing. A spiritual refuge, and I'm so thrilled that it is being used for that function.
I think that it's wonderful that you were able to convert this building for these children that had a need for it in this community, a place like this, and the fine job that you're doing. And I congratulate you on that. And I was amazed at what you have done.
I think that every one of us, to the T, that have been here and seen what's been done to this building, just get a sense of pride that we've passed it on to the next group. That it's not a house of worship as per se anymore, but we're helping educate and raise young Jewish boys, girls, that will be the leaders in the future, and they're all starting here. We're with you 100%. I can't say anything more than that. It's a fantastic. It's meant to be. This is what it's supposed to be.